In this dystopian world, the city is controlled by the evil van der Kooi family. Once a year, the head of the family Hilda gathers 12 citizens she dislikes to participate in the culling, during which all 12 participants get killed on live television. Boy is a child who has a very simple life in the company of his eccentric mother, who appears to be part of the resistance, and his sister Mina. The siblings hang out together all the time, at the arcade or simply watching TV while eating cereal. Sometimes Mina would make crazy plans for the future, like robbing a bank together to escape from this horrible city. She also likes to give Hilda's statue the finger with her whole hand. Unfortunately, the siblings are eventually chosen for the culling and Boy has to watch his family get killed by Hilda. He also gets hurt and is left for dead in the jungle. Soon the shaman finds him and nurses him to health. Although one injury is permanent, Boy is now deaf and mute. He can't even remember what his voice used to be like, so he uses the voiceover of his favorite video game in his inner thoughts. From then on, the shaman starts training Boy so one day he can kill Hilda and get his revenge. He includes all kinds of practice, martial arts, strength training by rolling the statue's head up a hill, and weapons training. Boy regularly gets buried in the mud and uses a bamboo stick to breathe, using the bugs that crawl down the stick for food. If he crawls out of the mud too early, the shaman scolds him and buries him again. Boy also does all the chores around their home and hangs out with his only friends, who happen to be two beetles. The shaman grows his own food and it's not much, which frustrates Boy. Some nights, the shaman uses uppers that make Boy hallucinate and revisit his old memories so he won't forget about his goal. However, most of the time he sees crazy things moving around him. Boy sometimes visits the city to practice reading lips, and when someone bothers him he shows them a little piece of paper explaining a situation. He also keeps seeing Mina everywhere because he can't move on. As years pass, Boy pushes his body to the limit and grows into a powerful young man as the training grows harder. One day during another practice fight, he catches the shaman in a hole and is about to defeat him, but at that moment he gets distracted by another vision of Mina. The shaman immediately uses the chance to beat him and concludes he isn't ready. Afterward, Boy tries to meditate to make Mina's hallucination disappear, but it doesn't work. The next time he goes to town, Boy notices a cute flower girl who gives him a flower and smiles in a flirty way. Unfortunately, the sweet moment is interrupted by the arrival of government soldiers, who start chasing people to gather 12 for the next colony. As everyone panics and runs pointlessly, Boy hides and watches Gideon and Glenn join the soldiers. They are part of the van der Kooi family and seeing them triggers a memory in Boy. When he was a child, he and Mina saw Gideon enter his home to kill a rebel. After gathering all the people in the square, Glenn gives a speech to announce the 12 chosen ones. He starts harassing a poor family and a woman in the crowd insults him for it, so Glenn shoots her. This causes the crowd to go crazy, thus Gideon calls head enforcer June 27 to take care of it. She immediately takes care of a man with an axe, cutting off his arm before killing him. Then she starts killing every complaining person while her helmet shows different words to match her speech. Boy watches as his traumatic memories get triggered, but the shaman stops him from helping because he isn't ready. In the end, only 6 people remain for the culling and Glenn scolds June 27, who refuses to kidnap any kids. After an argument in sign language, Boy disobeys the shaman and starts running on the rooftops to catch up with the enemy. The group is now stuck in traffic, so Boy sneaks behind one of their cars and gets inside the trunk with a dead body. Later at a warehouse, Boy comes out and watches Melanie scold his relatives for only getting 6 people instead of 12. She then tells Gideon to grab 6 people off the street to complete the set. Suddenly Boy notices the hallucination of Mina next to him and argues with her in his mind, causing him to lose track of the enemy. He starts sneaking around the warehouse while fake Mina moves ahead, playing ninjas. Forgetting she isn't real, Boy tackles her to save her from an incoming car and is seen by Glenn, who sends the guards after her. Boy runs to hide Mina in a locker and steals a gun, but he remembers the shaman taught him that he's the weapon. Ready for revenge, Boy comes out and starts fighting the soldiers hand to hand, using his mighty punches, a knife, and the men's own guns to kill them one by one. As the soldiers open fire, he uses a body as shield and a slave called Basho throws him a gun, but it doesn't have bullets. After taking a better gun from the body, Boy shoots a few soldiers and runs to hide with Basho, who offers to help kill Hilda if Boy frees from his chains. Boy shoots the chains to break them, then he goes back to the fight, killing more and more soldiers while Basho hides behind a cart. One by one every enemy goes down under Boy's amazing abilities, but there's one soldier that refuses to die. Boy keeps on fighting him and eventually gets his hand stuck in a machine to stop him from moving anymore. However, the soldier just pulls and leaves his arm behind to fight Boy again. This time Boy cuts his legs off to finally stop him. Basho celebrates their victory only for Glenn to suddenly open fire. He fails his shots and Basho shoots back, hitting him in the leg. Boy gets ready to kill Glenn, but Basho reminds him they can use him for information. Glenn is interrogated and explains that Hilda has a party at her mansion every year before the calling. He even offers to help him. However, Basho drops a heavy object on Glenn's head to kill him. The duo leaves the warehouse and Boy notices a shadow watching from the closet. Basho takes him to the secret location of the resistance, only to find it empty. Suddenly Boy is held at gunpoint by Benny, who puts his weapon down when Basho mentions Boy is on their side. Benny explains that the soldiers came for the rebels and killed everyone but him. Since Benny speaks a strange dialect, Boy has trouble reading his lips. Basho learns his girlfriend is dead too and has a breakdown, so Boy comforts him. The team makes a plan to infiltrate the party, but Boy keeps getting distracted by Mina and the memories of his childhood. In fact, he still has the drawing Mina did as a kid. When Basho and Benny explain the final plan to Boy, he doesn't get it, yet he nods along because Mina tells him to. After getting some weapons, they leave on a van and make it to the mansion. They knock out a few guards and even a chef, whose uniform is used by Boy to get into the party. Boy doesn't really know what chefs do and awkwardly wanders around the house until he gets distracted by macaroons, which he never had before. Luckily Basho, who is using a guard uniform, sees him and reminds him to get back to work. Seeing Hilda nearby, Boy becomes hungry for revenge and decides to act chefly. He goes to the kitchen and takes off the uniform, so the other workers start fighting him. Using a cheese grater, Boy cuts their skin in the most horrifying ways to kill them. Then he grabs Butcher's knife and goes to the dining hall, where he cuts a guard's throat before jumping on the person at the head of the table, decapitating him. Boy celebrates having killed Hilda, only to turn around and discover this is the wrong person. Suddenly Gideon shows up with a bunch of guards and explains the people at the table are actors because every year they expect dumb resistance members. Boy jumps on Gideon to take him hostage with his own gun, but unfortunately June 27 hits him from behind and he accidentally lets Gideon go. A vicious fight begins between June 27 and Boy as they trade blows all over the room, using any object their hands can reach. As they roll out of the dining room, Boy lands a very good hit and takes June 27's helmet off. Mina then appears and says the woman is pretty, distracting Boy. This gives June 27 the opening to push him over the railing and knock him out. An unconscious Boy starts having nightmares about the past, the execution of his mother and sister, the regime cutting out his tongue, and being hung from a tree. He remembers the shaman saved him and carried him into the jungle, ready to train him for vengeance. When Boy wakes up, he's tied to a chair and June 27 is punching him as she asks him where to find the shaman. Boy mouths the F word at her, causing her to throw an axe very close to his head. Gideon makes her leave because he'll take over, only to announce he's tired of all the torture and killing. He offers a cigarette that Boy eats as he explains Hilda is a shell of her former self because she spent years in a bunker becoming too paranoid and murderous. Gideon is aware that they aren't killing enemies anymore, just innocent people. He swears he can end it all if Boy hands him the shaman, but Boy refuses to cooperate and Gideon hits him. At that moment Melanie arrives and paints Boy's lips while announcing he'll be the main star of the culling. Moments later, Boy is tied up in the studio and given a shock collar. He asks the Mina hallucination why she didn't let him kill June 27, but the girl doesn't know. Soon the show begins and Hilda comes out, but instead of reading the teleprompter, she starts rambling in obvious paranoia. When she sees a shadow in the audience she pulls out a gun, so Melanie sends the guards to take Hilda away. At that moment Boy remembers that Gideon hid a scalpel in his pocket, so he takes it out to start cutting down the ropes. Meanwhile Melanie announces that this year's culling will have a winter wonderland theme with cereal mascots and demonic elves. A bunch of people in disguise come out and start killing the 12 participants in a bunch of gruesome yet creative ways, covering the fake snow with tons of blood. One of the killers tries to come after Boy, who only needs his legs to bring the attacker down in seconds. Then he finally frees himself and heads to the stage, only for Melanie to activate his shock collar to bring him down. 4 elves immediately grab him and hold him down for the goat man to kill him, however the guy uses his hammer to hit an elf instead. The other elves barely get to react before the goat man quickly kills them as well. When he removes the goat head, it's revealed to be Basho. At that moment Benny bursts in with open fire and the crowd panics. Melanie ends the transmission while Gideon watches with a smile. As the crowd runs out of the studio, Benny continues to shoot any enemies left and Basho explains to Boy how they sneaked around wearing the soldier uniforms to find him. However, when Benny takes over the explanation, Boy once again has trouble reading his lips and pictures what happened with funny details, like flowers and strange animals. Then Benny gives Boy a brass knuckle gun that fires bullets when he punches someone. The trio jumps back into action, easily killing any enemy that dares fight him. Behind the cameras, Melanie can tell Gideon planned this and points a gun at him and he tries to leave. The fight continues and Boy fights a serial pirate mascot with a knuckle but also a carrot and a snowman. Soon he runs out of bullets, but Benny throws him a clip and he reloads the knuckle to punch and shoot the pirate's face at the same time. At that moment Boy sees Mina, who is scared of this side of him. Melanie tries to use the chance to shoot him, so Benny tackles him to save him and gets shot instead. Basho fires back and scares Melanie into hiding while Benny dies in Boy's arms, saying something Boy can't understand. Melanie sneaks around and shoots down Basho as well before trying with Boy again. He runs up the stage and uses a pineapple mascot as a shield, rolling it down to knock down Melanie and capture her. Boy ties Melanie to a chair and pushes his hammer toward her, instantly killing her. Then he checks on Basho, who is alive but very weak. He still wants to fight though, so the duo takes the hallway and encounters more guards. As Basho starts having trouble walking, Boy continues to kill every man in his way as his memories remind him of the death of his family, fueling his hunger for revenge. Several minutes of violence later, all the guards are dead and Boy snaps out of it to discover Basho died from his wound. Nearby, Boy finds Gideon, who was also shot by Melanie. With his last energy, Gideon gives Boy a key card to access Hilda's bunker. When Boy gets ready to kill him out of mercy, Mina appears to make him stop. Boy finally tells her she's dead and he doesn't need her. The hallucination disappears and Boy kills Gideon. Next, Boy gets in the elevator and Hilda appears on the screen, saying he'll die for nothing. Boy shows Mina's drawing to say he's doing it for her, causing Hilda to hang up. The elevator takes him to the bunker and when the doors open, the guards don't shoot. June 27 takes Boy to the main room, where he sees some family paintings that include him and Mina as a child. Hilda rushes to hug him and apologizes for not recognizing him, dropping big news: Boy and Mina are actually her kids. As she explains what happened, Boy starts remembering the truth. He had been at the culling but not as a victim, he had been a participant. The real victims were the shaman, his son, a woman who he had thought was his mother, and her daughter. Hilda forced Boy to fire the gun to kill them, but Boy only managed to kill the children and the woman before having a breakdown. His shooting became erratic and everyone panicked, allowing the shaman to run away. Overwhelmed with guilt, Boy ran into the jungle to cry alone. The shaman found him and started to choke him, but he stopped when he got an idea. He kidnapped the kid, then he started to brainwash him to change his memories. He even hurt Boy, convincing him it had been wounds from gun. The shaman cut out Boy's tongue and burned his ears to make him more controllable. Back to the present, Hilda finishes the story by saying Boy has been killing his aunts and uncles. She also reveals that June 27 is actually Mina. As Boy falls to his knees in shock, Hilda asks for the proof that her son is still in him and slaps Boy when he doesn't react. She concludes this isn't her son anymore, so she orders Mina to kill him. Also believing this isn't her brother anymore, Mina starts beating up Boy and takes out her axe for the kill, but she freezes when Boy puts up his hand. Remembering the day with the statue, Mina turns around and kills her mother instead. Another family member activates an alarm and the siblings run to hide as the soldiers open fire. They steal some hidden weapons and run down the corridor, where they start fighting all the incoming soldiers. Together they make a marvelous team and easily kill any man that dares to go against them. Suddenly 3 guards arrive with heavy weapons and Mina gets wounded. Thankfully she's fine and teams up with Boy again to tackle another soldier, using him as a shield to run through the corridor. They reach the guy with the Gatling gun, who Mina pulls down while Boy uses his own weapons to kill him. As more soldiers arrive, the siblings run to the elevator to escape. Hilda explains she's been looking for him all these years and only hurt people because she thought they would hurt him. Suddenly the elevator is called to a different floor and when the doors open, they see the shaman. Using sign language, the shaman tells Boy to kill Mina because she's also part of the evil family, but Boy refuses. Mina quickly attacks the shaman and lands a few hits, but he easily overpowers her. When he's about to kill her, Boy hits him to make him drop her. Then the siblings attack the shaman together, however the shaman is incredibly fast and attacks in all kinds of dirty ways, giving the siblings terrible injuries. He also headbutts Mina to destroy her helmet and hurt her with the shards, making her bleed quite heavily. Now Boy has to fight the shaman alone and after a few moves, he steals the man's necklace to cut him multiple times with it. As he throws the shaman all over the room, he accidentally drops the necklace and the shaman grabs it back to cut open Boy's leg and arm. Boy grabs the shaman's hands and with the help of a vision of his younger self, he pushes down the necklace to finally kill his mentor. After screaming in physical and emotional pain, Boy checks on Mina and confirms she's alive. She wants him to escape, but he picks her up and they leave together as Boy remembers their days in the arcade, mentioning it's better to have a player too. Sometime later, the siblings are in an abandoned building eating cereal like the old times. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.